Hello again. We are happy to be back with you. We hope you've had a good few weeks, and we are about to, today is July the 22nd of 2020, and this is the Buddhist Service. I'm Ms. Shepherd, and I'm really glad to be here. Let me invite my friend and colleague to introduce and welcome you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ms. Ross. Grateful to be able to be here. I missed the last session because I was out of town, but I was thinking of you all, especially when I knew that my fellow volunteers were doing the recording 2 weeks ago. I was holding all of you in my mind during that time, especially. But just keep thinking about you, hoping that you're well and surviving this crazy situation that we're all in to the best of your ability, and grateful that we can at least connect electronically, if not in person. So, Ms. Shepherd.
Thank you. So we will run today's service similarly to how we've always done it in the past. So I'll begin by I'll go over to the shrine, which is just over here to my left. I'll light candles and incense, and I'll bow 3 times. Then I'll come back here, and we'll do the chant that we've been doing, the reflections on universal well-being. It's the same chant we've done every time, so perhaps it's getting a little more familiar, and I will put it up on the screen for everyone. Following that, Ms. Ross will lead us in a guided meditation, and then have some reflections. Then we'll talk a bit about her reflections, and we'll close. So with that, I'll light the shrine. Oh, one last thing. This doesn't allow much input, doesn't allow us to actually be communicating very much, and we would be happy to do that. So that if you have comments or questions or something you want us to talk about, or a response to something we have talked about, please feel free to send anything for us to your chaplain. The chaplain can then get it to us, and we would respond to it in the next recording. And we'd be happy to do that if that would be of help. So feel free to do that. Now let us chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering. and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs.
So with the sound of the bell, it transitions us into a meditation. So we begin by just being aware of our posture, however we're choosing, whether we're standing or sitting or lying down, and whatever posture we can take so that we're both relaxed and upright and alert. So really paying attention to that posture, feeling the support of whatever is supporting the body, feeling the body resting on that support. So again, it feels relaxed, yet alert and awake. The spine is especially important to pay attention to. The alignment of the spine and the head helps to promote the alertness. So settling into that posture, we've gotten our body into an alert place, and then we turn our attention to the mind. And we can start by setting an intention. So what is the mind going to be alert to in this sitting practice that we're doing here, this meditation practice? So maybe you have an intention that you work with in your practice. Maybe it's for calm or ease or clarity or whatever. And if nothing else, maybe the intention of that chant that we just did, well-being, just inclining the mind. So intention is just inclining the mind, sending it in a direction, giving a general motivation of why are we practicing? Why are we doing this? So if nothing else, maybe it's for our well-being. So set your intention for your practice. And then you'll be working with your meditation object. Again, maybe if you have one that you're working with, you'll just go with that. If not, breathing is the one that's always recommended if you don't have something else you're working with. So whatever it is, we use the meditation object to, again, incline the mind to pay attention to that object as a way to calm and focus the mind, rather than having the mind running around chasing everything like it normally does in everyday life. So set your meditation object. If you don't have anything else, go with the breathing. Just noticing breathing in is like this. Breathing out is like this. So we set an intention to be with the meditation object. In the case of the breath, it's knowing the breathing in, knowing the breathing out. Usually it takes a while. We have to keep reminding ourselves what our meditation object is to get the mind to settle down. Breathing in is like this, breathing out is like this. And we can check in and notice where the mind is. Is it still with the meditation object? Or has it wandered off thinking, dreaming, whatever? So noticing where the mind is. Noticing how it is. Is it calm? Is it still in a state of well-being? Or has it gone into a drama or gone to sleep? Noticing how the body is, because the body is connected with the mind. The mind's embedded in the body. So how's the body responding? And then going back to our meditation object, resetting our intention to be with that object. Breathing in, breathing out. Noticing where the mind is. Is it still with your object, with your intention to stay with that, or has it gone off? Noticing how the mind is. Is it calm, agitated, peaceful? And how the body is. And we can notice if how the mind and body are, if that's aligned with what our intention is, whatever we set our original intention to be. In the case of well-being, are the mind and body at a place where there's a sense of well-being, or is there agitation, distraction, sleepiness? We just notice, we don't try to change. Noticing the effect, cause and effect. And we go back to our meditation object. Breathing in, breathing out. Noticing where the mind is, how it is, how the body is. So noticing the cause and effect between where the mind is and how its state is, how the body is. And noticing if that's aligned with our overall intention for well-being. Just noticing over and over again, we do this practice. Going back to the meditation object. Using our mindfulness to notice where the mind is right now, how it is, how the body is. Is it aligned with our intention for well-being? Maybe we can even focus our attention on noticing where in the body there is a sense of well-being, of ease. So we can turn our attention to just scanning. Is there any place in this body that feels at ease? Turning attention to ease in the body. Sense of well-being, relaxation. Is there any place in the body where we can experience that? And invite the mind to rest there. In that sense of body ease, well-being. Inviting our attention to rest on ease and well-being in the body. And if the mind does connect with that ease in the body, what's the overall sense of the mind? Is there ease in the mind as well? And if we're not able to locate any ease in the body or in the mind, just noticing that too. Maybe if the mind's distracted or sleepy, noticing how that feels in the body, how it feels in the mind. And just seeing that connection of cause and effect between the body and mind. So we're training the mind to set an intention, to pay attention based on that intention. And then we're seeing what happens. What's the result? And sometimes the mind is willing to go with that intention. And sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's just distracted. And we can just notice distraction is like this in the mind and the body. And we can do this practice with curiosity, with the lightness, but with interest, to learn to better understand how the mind and the body are. And inclining the mind and the body to be with that intention that we set. And if we make that a continual practice, it continues to reinforce and move the mind and the body in that direction. We practice this over and over again with curiosity, with kindness. It's like this right now, this mind, this body. So the ringing of the bell takes us out of that meditation. So just take a moment to reflect on what your experience was. What you might have observed in your own mind, your own body, in doing that practice. And it's that meditation is a little bit different than what we lead a lot of times, where we're just focusing on the breath and trying to keep going back to the breath and trying to get a state of calm or relaxation. You know, that's one way to practice. But this meditation that we just did was more of a contemplation or an investigation type meditation that we can use to better understand our own mind and what its habits are. And also through that understanding, we can start to see what seems helpful to us and what doesn't seem helpful to us. And that's good to know too. So this is all just good information. So hopefully all those directions weren't too confusing. You know, it's a little more words, a little more moving around of the mind between, you know, setting the intention of staying with the breath or whatever your object was, and then watching what the effect is, looking at that cause and effect. It's a little busier than some of the relaxing meditations. And if what you wanted to do was a relaxing meditation and that wasn't what it was, notice your frustration. You know, so, or if your mind wouldn't do what you wanted it to do, notice that frustration. Or if setting that intention allowed the mind to be calm and then the body was calm, notice that too. So just reflect on what your experience was there. So that meditation, I use that particular one as a lead into what I want to talk about today. And the reason I chose the topic, which is intention, part of the reason that I chose it is because I'm watching my own mind these past few weeks, especially as this whole pandemic thing has been going on and on and on. I think we're finally realizing that it's not just gonna be a couple weeks, it's not gonna be a couple months, it's probably gonna continue to go on. And I'm seeing myself and some other people that I talk to really struggling with the lack of interaction with other people and doing things that we normally distract ourselves with. A lot of people are kind of feeling ungrounded and not knowing what to do. Like, you know, normally we just go into the habit of distracting ourselves, talking to people or doing other things. But if we don't have those distractions, we're left with all this free time. Maybe you're watching a lot of TV or something, I don't know. But sometimes it feels really pointless. You know, it doesn't feel like there's much substance to what we're doing. And it made me think of Viktor Frankl, who was, in the Nazi concentration camps, and he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he talked about what allowed people who were in the concentration camps, those who survived versus those who didn't. The ones who survived usually found something to create meaning in their life, something to live for, really. And I think of intention as a continuation of that looking for meaning. So in setting an intention, we have a purpose to what we're doing. And maybe some of you, as you're practicing, every once in a while, I go into this mode of, why am I even doing this? I'm sitting here meditating, you know, what could possibly be the point? You know, you get into that doubting mode. And it's a good time to, when you're in that doubting mode or questioning mode, to really reflect on, what is my intention in this practice? You know, why am I doing this? And so maybe you don't think about that very often, but it's a good thing, because what we set our intention for, what our motivation for, I mean, that's really what intention is. It's what motivates us or moves us in the direction of doing something. And if we don't have a motivation, we're not going to want to practice, right? If you have a hard time motivating yourself to practice, you can say, oh, well, what is my intention? Why am I doing this? And so you can think about that. Maybe you have a reason. Maybe you want to be calmer. Maybe you want to understand your mind. Or maybe like that chant that we just did, maybe you just want more of a sense of well-being. May I abide in well-being. But we have to notice what creates a sense of well-being, right? And that's what we're doing in that meditation, was noticing what does and doesn't contribute to well-being. So intention is that energy or that force that motivates us or inclines us to do something. And even if we're not thinking about an intention, we really, if nothing else, our habits are our intentions, right? If we don't set a specific intention, like the intention to promote well-being, or the intention to promote ease, or the intention for non-harming, or whatever, whatever your intention. If you don't set a specific conscious intention, what happens is all of our unconscious habits become our unconscious intention. And they're the ones, I don't know about you, but that's what gets me into trouble, right? When my unconscious habits that are not helpful take over, if I'm not continually reminding myself of what is my positive aspiration or intention, the unconscious ones take over, and that's when the checking out into dreaming, or going into anger mode, or going into whatever, any restlessness, or all those mind states that are not very helpful, and they make me feel agitated or depressed or whatever. That's where you go if you don't continue to remind yourself of your positive intentions consciously. So what we're trying to do is reset the way our mind, where it wants to go. Where really intention is part of the process of karma, right? Of creating karma. So karma is just, or kama is all the actions that come out of our habits. That's what's created everything that's come to where we are right now. And what we're trying to do is set our next actions, our next creation of actions, or kama or karma, by having a positive, helpful, something that's helpful to us. We want to set that intention so that we create more positive actions that come out of that. So intention is an activity of the mind, and because of our intention, it determines what our intention determines where our attention goes. So if we have the intention at the end of that meditation, I said, if we have the intention towards well-being, we can put our attention on where the sense of well-being is in the body. So we're doing that, trying to encourage the mind to look at what creates a sense of well-being, or where there is a sense of well-being. So intention, if a conscious positive intention can create your attention towards something positive, and that keeps things moving in the direction of a more positive, a more beneficial actions in our lives. So that's really what we're doing in our practice. So our mindfulness practice, mindfulness doesn't mean just being in the moment. It means the mindfulness has a remembering quality to it. We're trying to remember what our intentions are. And if our intention is to promote something that's helpful to us and to others, and not harmful to ourselves and others, that's what we're trying to do in our practice. Or at least that's what I'm trying to do in my practice. And I would encourage you to try to do that too, rather than just zoning out, trying to go into a place of bliss. That's fine while you're in meditation, but we still have to take this into our everyday life. So when we're doing our sitting practice and trying to encourage noticing what brings about more positive states of mind, and more positive feelings in the mind and body, noticing what causes negativity or whatever, what doesn't seem to be helpful, we can use this practice in our meditation practice and take it out into the real world, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So this can be not 24 hours a day because you're sleeping some of the time, but a constant activity throughout the day, bringing that intention into our daily activity. when I'm interacting with somebody, what creates a good interaction versus one that's not helpful, one that causes tension or causes somebody to be uncomfortable, including ourselves. So we can take this remembering what our intention, maybe a good intention. If you look in the Eightfold Path, the intentions that are encouraged are non-ill will and non-harming or non-cruelty, and also renunciation. And renunciation doesn't mean giving things up, it means letting go of things that aren't helpful. So if nothing else, we could remember those three things as our intention and practice with them and see what happens if we keep reminding ourselves of this, of these positive inclinations in our mind, trying to encourage the mind to go there rather than to the darker places where it wants to go sometimes, to anxiety, to depression, to dream states, not being in part of reality, and just see what happens. So I just offer that as a reflection for something you may want to try as your practice, especially since we're in lockdown, there's fewer things to do. So can we create the intention of using this time when we have so much free time, time without distractions, can we use that with the intention to set our attention towards these more positive activities? So that's what I've been thinking about. Ms. Shepherd, anything that you have that you've been thinking about related to this?
Yeah, lots to consider there. Thank you. Okay. So, Ms. Ross opened talking about feeling ungrounded and distracted, and setting our intention and cultivating and supporting our constant mindfulness is how we rein in distraction. And through reining in distraction, we are able to feel more grounded, less all over the place. So a way to think about mindfulness relates well to exactly what Ms. Ross was talking about, which is mindfulness is bearing something in mind. And so we are considering, what is it that's worth bearing in mind? What is it we care about? What is it that we want to set our intention to bear in mind? And so the idea of using our meditation practice for some opportunity for reflection is absolutely a part of this practice. That there are times when we use the practice to solely stay with the awareness of the flow of our experience. What's arising now? Not the flow of our thoughts, but the flow of our bodily and mental, to a sense, experience, but not in the sense of following the mental thoughts, but just knowing, oh, there's a thought. Maybe there's a thought with a certain intention behind it. There's a thought with an intention of ill will. There's a thought with an intention of generosity. But not following those thoughts in the meditation, just allowing our awareness to note all that's happening. And it's happening quickly. It's constant flowing. So that's a practice of, that's how we develop calm, is we allow the mind to rest with the awareness of this constant flow and change of what's being received. And just as Ms. Ross said, when the mind settles as a result of that practice of awareness, we can also begin to notice what sort of intentions are present. What are, and to investigate and reflect upon, well, what are the intentions that I want to support and develop? And the relationship between our intention and our attention is very, very close. Because when we recognize what our intention is, we then determine what it is we will pay attention to and what it is we will let pass by and not feed and build and grow. So, for example, if our intention is goodwill, then as we are going about our day and we recognize that, you know, we're at our work, or we're receiving the meal, somebody's brought the meal to the cell maybe, and maybe they've not brought what they were supposed to. Maybe you have a special meal and you didn't get a special meal. And you can notice if your intention has been goodwill, you can notice if the mind goes to, ugh, that jerk. He did it again. They brought the wrong meal. Why don't they, I've written, 18 kites, and why don't they get this right? So you can notice, are you going to put your attention on that? Or might you put your attention on, well, they at least got this other piece of my meal correct. Or I'm so grateful for that other person who seems to always be able to get this portion of my meal correct. So you're deciding where you put your attention. Because the world is replete, filled with places to put our attention, right? None of us are able to encompass everything that is present in any moment. It's huge, it's incomprehensible. So what our minds do is actually decide, what is it I'm going to pay attention to? And then our mind focuses on that. So we're always going to have some sort of focus. The mind is never going to be able to encompass everything. But we do have the ability to determine which part of that narrow focus we're going to place the mind. How we're going to place that mind. Am I going to put my attention on the colors in the room or the space in the room? On the people in the room or the objects in the room? We have a choice. And how we make that choice matters. And it matters and grows out of what our intention is. And our intention, hopefully, is to develop and strengthen that which is for our own long-term well-being and the long-term well-being of other beings. And determining what that may be isn't always easy. That's where the reflective part is involved. That what we may have learned growing up or been modeled from others or seen on television may not actually be very helpful in letting us know, one, what our true intention of our heart is, and two, how we get at that intention, how we act upon that intention, where we put our attention. And so to figure out those things requires that we meditate, that we quiet and still the mind, that we let the mind settle in order to bring forth the ability to reflect on, just as Ms. Ross said, what is it that leads to greater ease and calm and peace in my heart? What is it that actually offers me a happiness that is satisfying, that is joyful, that isn't just a quick shot, a quick punch? So, maybe it's hearing someone laugh, getting a smile from a friend, knowing that your loved ones are doing well. Those are the things that help the heart truly settle. It's lovely when we get what we want, but it's pretty short-lived. And what we want changes so quickly. that usually once we get what we want, suddenly we want something else. So we realize, well, maybe I didn't really want that. I wanted this other thing. So it's through our meditation, we start to notice that our desires and wants often aren't really a true reflection of our deepest intentions. That our deepest intentions are more to be able to connect into goodwill, generosity, a sense of connectedness, caring for others and feeling cared for, or whatever it may be that you determine in your own reflection really supports your well-being. So this whole idea of well-being, I think the very first reflection we ever gave, the very first time we came to you as a Buddhist service online like this, I think we talked about, well, what in the world is well-being anyway? And I think that's a worthwhile long-term reflection, because until we know what well-being really is for us, it's hard to set our intentions and to know where to place our attention. So, Ms. Ross, further thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know how much more to add. This is, it's not a straightforward investigation, really. I mean, I think that's the most interesting part. And I don't know about you, but part of the reason that I go back to the sense in the body is the body will often tell me whether what I'm doing is leading towards ease. The mind may tell me, oh, I should chase this, but then if the body gets agitated, I find that that's, checking back in with the body, that's a good indicator that maybe I shouldn't be chasing after that, unless I'm doing it, for a specific reason or whatever, So it's just an ongoing investigation. And if we're looking for a simple answer to this, I think all of us who are doing this practice are finding that there's no straightforward answer. But again, like, what else are we going to do with all this free time that we have? That's what I keep coming back to. Like, I don't know what everybody else in the world is doing, but for me, I'm there, having this time without those distractions makes me have to look at things that I didn't look at before. So, and I can be grateful for that, can't I? Maybe.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the signals, I think one of the signals that I find really helpful, a signal for being ungrounded, a signal for being distracted, is to notice when does the heart and mind feel restricted, contained, unhappy. Unhappy is not the best word. Tight. And when does it feel open and at ease and accepting and joyous? So the Buddha was often spoken of as having unrestricted awareness. And so unrestricted awareness is an awareness that's able to take in everything and not be reactive, not be bouncing off, oh, this happened and that happened, and well, I want that and I don't want that, and I like this, but I didn't like that. And unrestricted awareness drops all of those I's, me's, and mine's, and is just able to be settled and present with this sense of awareness of what is happening now, and how can there be a connection to what's happening now that allows the mind and the heart to feel at ease.
Yeah, perfect.
So I think with that, hopefully some things to reflect upon. Let's dedicate the merit of our intention to do this practice, our attention to come here today, wherever you had to come or whatever you had to do, and to be present with all of us. That is a wonderful practice, and that deserves recognition and acknowledgement and our thanks. But let's dedicate that to all beings. So I'll put it on the screen so we can recite it. Please recite along if you would like, or read along at least. Just trying to move it here. So may the merit of our practice support and nourish us. May it be for our well-being. May we feel inner wealth so that we can practice the joy of giving. May we always offer goodwill, knowing that we can't control the course of life, suffering, or death. Offering ill will doesn't make it different. Offering goodwill supports our heart. May we see our own limits with compassion, just as we offer compassion to others. May our practice train this heart in clarity, kindness, and wisdom. And may all beings, not a single one left out, be well, be safe, and be free from suffering. So, Miss Ross, any final goodbye, and then I'll do the same?
No, just thinking of you all and looking forward to being back in a couple of weeks. So take care.
Thank you. So thank you, Miss Ross. Thank you, all of you who out there. We hope there isn't something out there. We're not sure, but we hope so. And we're really glad to be here with you in this way. Very best wishes for your practice. May you all awaken in this very life.